So people often ask me, do you believe in God? Which I don't like that question. I don't like that question. I don't like that question. Yeah, I don't like the question. People have asked me whether or not I believe in God, and I've answered in various ways. No, but I'm afraid he probably exists. That's... The traditions bind the community together. Now, I'm saying that, and I don't go to church, and the reason I don't go to church is because, well, it drives me crazy, to speak frankly. I haven't been able to sit in a situation like that ever since I was, well, ever, really. That's really the truth of it, ever. I'm not convinced that that's a good thing, because I do believe, and I've had good conversations about this with Jonathan Pageau, I do believe that communal return to the source of the community's ethics is actually a necessary thing. And maybe I'm atoning for my past sins by doing these biblical lectures at the moment, which is something that's communal. And then, because there's also something about going where a bunch of other people are to reaffirm your commitment to the good that you're all aiming at, that's got some power in it. And I don't think that that's something that we should forego. I think it's dangerous. I mean, look, even if you're cynical about church, and I guess I would put myself in that category, it's certainly the case that communal church going in the 1950s, say, provided the average person with at least an hour a week where they were contemplating, no matter how poorly, the purpose of ethics in life and the idea of a higher purpose and a higher meaning in life. And you got to think that spending an hour a week thinking about that is better than never doing it at all. I don't know how that tradition can be revivified in a meaningful way, but I really do think it's a catastrophe that we've lost it, because we don't have a center, an ethical center that holds our community together, and the consequence of that is that we're fragmenting quite badly. But what you see there is if you view someone with love, then it's incumbent upon you to treat them as if they're valuable. And then the more you treat other people as if they're valuable, the better person you are. That just comes along for the ride in some sense.
The more you treat somebody that they're the more value you let someone know that they have, the more they want to be around you, more they want to, they want to be more valued, the more they want to do better. Like, it's the same as celebrating a kid when they're younger for every little small thing that they do. That's how we teach them to do bigger and better things. Like, every single time they do one thing, when they're able to drink by themselves, when they're able to go get something for you and bring it to you, you celebrate them, and they know. And Jordan Peterson said the same thing about like, if you're in a relationship with someone and you want them to do something, like if you see something that they do and you really enjoy that thing that they're doing, celebrate them when they do that thing. And they will want to do it more and more, because people like to be celebrated. People also like to be heard and listened to. Okay, I'm going to be quiet. Oh, and if y'all like this style of content, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Also, the notification bell, so that you'd be notified when we put out more content. Also, our song and music reactions will be on LFR Family Plus for the great majority of them for now.
So none of that seems questionable to me. That seems solid. And so then maybe the more love you view other people with, the higher the moral demand that's placed on you. And then I would say too, well then, that's another reason why it's so important to be truthful and in some sense to be good, because it isn't obvious to me that you can withstand that moral load if you're compromised by too much sin. It's too much. And that's another thing that we're not very good at teaching young people about. We shouldn't do that. It's like there's a sanctimonious authority that goes along with that that's the wrong tone. It's more like, I don't know how you lay it out properly, but you tell people that you love how to avoid the road to hell. And you don't do that because you're shaking your finger at them or because you're a moral authority. You do it because you don't want them to burn.
Wow. Wow. You want the best for them. You want them to have eternal pain and suffering based off what you believe, Hebrews 11:1. Yeah, that's heavy, man. Every single time I see this gentleman talk, people say that he's the Antichrist. Are you freaking kidding me, man? People say he's freaking Hitler. They compare him to Hitler. Come on, dude. Come on. Who in the world? What did you hear that made you formulate that opinion of him? Because I need to hear that. Please send that video to me. Everything I'm doing, guys, just so you know, are being sent to me by supporters of the channel, either in Discord or IG or Patreon or Twitch. Thank you.
And I think there's too much of the moral authority still in the church and not enough of the, the love that helps people avoid the fire. Tammy, my wife, has always taken the idea of truth very seriously. Her recent brush with death has deepened her religious sense and impelled her towards a life that's more consciously focused on service to others, her family in particular, but not only her family, people beyond the family. And I also think that's a function to some degree of our stage of life. She's a grandmother now, and her children are grown and able to take care of themselves, and so she can turn her attention to other people, maybe farther afield from the immediate family. I'm watching what she's doing and listening to her and watching her practical application of her faith, and that affects me just as everything she does affects me, because I watch what she does and take it seriously. Her recent actions have indicated she's helped a number of people quite substantially, the group that she's been communicating with, and all of that's very interesting to me. She's showing me, I've taken the idea of God seriously for a very long time, and I've said on multiple occasions that I try to act as though God exists, and that's essentially my definition of belief. When people say, do you believe in God? Belief is a multidimensional word, and one question is, well, what do you mean by believe? And for me, the proof of belief is to be found in action. And I decided that I would act as if God existed a long while back. And of course, I'm imperfect in that, inevitably. Now, she's doing that more explicitly as well. Not that she wasn't doing it quite well to begin with, but she's doing it more explicitly and also more within the confines of traditional religious conceptions. Although she's not attending church, she's associating with a number of people who are formally religious, and all of that's informing the way that she conducts herself. It's watching her do that has also highlighted for me the missing praxis in Western Christianity. If you want to be a Christian, let's say, if you think that's necessary, it's not exactly obvious what you should do. You should go to church, but that's not enough, I don't think.
It's not enough. And a lot of people will try to make it seem like it's enough. They go to church, then once they leave them doors, they are hellified until next Sunday. And if they got Bible study on Monday night or Wednesday night for some Bible studies, then they'll cut their church back on as soon as they pull back in the parking lot. But I swear, man, it takes more than that. It takes more than going out there Bible thumping too. It takes far more out there than just having compassion for people. It means a great deal. Serving, being of service, whatever talent that God blessed you with, and you're able to excel in some way, shape, or form where people know you for something, then you should probably use that opportunity to do God's work and not use it for your own selfish gain. Always be a servant. I think whenever you're a servant of God, then you're doing God's will. That's what I think. And I believe all this is different for everybody. I stopped going to church a couple of years ago. I miss it. I miss everything about it. But I make sure I serve as much as possible. And I still have a relationship with God.
I find it useful to contemplate the highest good on a continual basis. I'm trying to keep myself oriented in that direction. It's a religious orientation, fundamentally. It's an overwhelming orientation. But there's no escaping the questions of the ultimate meaning of life. I'm not an atheist anymore, because I don't look at the world that way anymore. I'm not a materialist anymore. I don't think the world's made out of matter. I think it's made out of what matters. It's made out of meaning, what we orient towards unconsciously, which means...
I don't think it's made out of matter. I think it's made out of what matters. Wow, that's bars, bro. I like that. Mic drop moment. That's a mic drop moment. Bow. Bow.
Matters. It's made out of meaning, what we orient towards unconsciously, which means what captures our attention is meaning, and it captures our attention before we know what it is. The brain acts as if the world's made out of information or made out of meaning. Who would have the audacity to claim that they believed in God if they examined the way they lived? Who would dare say that? To believe, you think, to believe in a Christian sense, to actually, this is why Nietzsche said there was only ever one Christian, and that was Christ. To have the audacity to claim that means that you live it out fully. And that's an unbearable task in some sense. To be able to accept the structure of existence, the suffering that goes along with it, and the disappointment and the betrayal, and to nonetheless act properly, right? To aim at the good with all your heart, right? To dispense with the malevolence and your desire for destruction and revenge and all of that, and to face things courageously and to tell the truth, to speak the truth and to act it out. That's what it means to believe. That's what it means. It doesn't mean to state it. It means to act it out. And unless you act it out, you should be very careful about claiming it. And so I've never been comfortable saying anything other than I try to act as if God exists, because God only knows what you'd be if you truly believed. I mean, if you think about it in some sense, that's the central idea in Christianity, is that if you were capable of believing, it would be a transfiguring event, a truly transfiguring event. And I know people experience that to one degree or another, but we have no idea what the limit of that is. And we have no idea what the possibility is within each person if they lived a life that was maximally courageous and maximally truthful. You know, because maybe you're running at 60% or 70% or 20% and at cross purposes to yourself. God only knows what you'd be if you believed. And so, well, I try to act like I believe, but I'd never claim that I manage it. So, okay, so you...
I don't 100% agree with that. I don't believe believing is fully acting out. I believe believing is having an understanding that there is a God, and that if you act it out, then all that's promised to you will be given unto you. But there's such thing as free will that is still there, whether we believe or not. That's for the believers who don't act it out, and for the believers who do act it out. They still have free will. But God give us that leeway to make our own decision. Because people look at this, I firmly believe that God is our Father. And He wants the best for us regardless. And we will get anything that's promised to us as long as we use what He has given to us not hurt anybody in the process, and not want anything that anyone else has, not try to covet anybody else's gifts, talents, material, husbands, wives, their houses, their property, anything like that. That we appreciate what's in our backyard and not what's over the fence more. And that we not try to bury our gifts and talents in the backyard or anywhere else, but that we actually use them so that we can attain all of the glory that God wants us to have. And those people who do that, we know their names. We know their names. People who go out there unapologetically, pedal to the metal, and use their gifts to be as great as they can possibly be. And then once they do that, then their ability to give back is crazy. And that was all a part of the plan. But they trusted in the plan. They went through with it. And we just look at them as silly actors, silly artists, silly businessmen, ridiculous, horrible presidents, not understanding that those people use their gifts and their talents, their abilities, while believing in God, to get those things so that they can be able to make a bigger impact on everybody. Our impact extends. It's all about our reach. And if we use our gifts and our abilities, God will bless us to be able to do some things beyond our whatever we can see ourselves doing. But we don't always have to just act it out just to say we believe. No. I know people who believe, and it's because they're sometimes they're too depressed to act it out. They're too anxious to act it out. They're too stubborn. They're naturally stubborn. They're naturally sneaky. And they got to get around those things. They got to mature. Still believe in God, but they got to mature. They still believe in God, but they haven't been slapped on the wrist yet. They haven't been caught, and they think they can get away from it with anything. That free will seems like a playground to them. So there's many different ways to look at it, in my opinion. But I'm no neuroscience. I'm no neurophysicist, no neuroscientist. I'm nowhere near as bright as Jordan Peterson. But that's my take.
You can think about Christ from a psychological perspective, and my critic, this particular critic that I've been reading, said, well, that doesn't differentiate Christ much from a whole sequence of dying and resurrecting mythological gods. And of course, people have made that claim in comparative religion. Joseph Campbell did that, and Jung to a lesser degree, I would say, but Campbell did that. But the difference, and C.S. Lewis pointed this out as well, the difference between those mythological gods and Christ was that there's a representation of, there's a historical representation of his existence as well. Now, you can debate whether or not that's genuine. You can debate about whether or not he actually lived and whether there's credible objective evidence for that, but it doesn't matter in some sense because it does, but there's a sense in which it doesn't matter because there's still a historical story. And so what you have in the figure of Christ is an actual person who actually lived, plus a myth. And in some sense, Christ is the union of those two things. The problem is I probably believe that, but I don't know. I'm amazed at my own belief, and I don't understand it. Because I've seen sometimes the objective world and the narrative world touch. That's Jungian synchronicity. Yeah. And I've seen that many times in my own life. And so in some sense, I believe it's undeniable. We have a narrative sense of the world. For me, that's been the world of morality. That's the world that tells us how to act. It's real. We treat it like it's real. It's not the objective world. But the narrative and the objective world touch. And the ultimate example of that in principle is supposed to be Christ.
This dude is so daggone sharp, man. I swear to goodness. He's so sharp. I wish I could communicate like that, man.
But I don't know what to... that seems to me oddly plausible. But I still don't know what to make of it. It's too... partly because it's too terrifying a reality to fully believe. I don't even know what would happen to you if you fully believed it.
But are you a prophet?
And, see, to say yes or no, I have to think about how... I have to think about how I might be conceptualized, how what I'm doing might be conceptualized. No, I think I see myself as a psychologist, and fundamentally, I am a psychologist. I'm a behavioral psychologist, and I got very interested in psychoanalytic thinking, especially the Jungian variants, and I'm a professor, and I'm doing that, on a much larger stage, let's say, but that's really what I'm doing. And so it's a combination of those.
Yes, you are, brother. You teaching me every single day, man.
Larger stage, let's say, but that's really what I'm doing. And so it's a combination of those two things. And I speak about religious matters, but I don't see myself as a religious leader. I don't want to make that. God, lift from me the intolerable burden of my ignorance, arrogance, willful blindness, bitterness, and resentment. As I pray that others rise above the same faults and temptations. I watched Fox News release a message this week. There are terrible things afoot under the surface of our society, and the perpetrators are coming for you and coming for us. And then I watched the Democrats respond in panic and anger, saying, there are terrible things afoot under the surface of our society, and the perpetrators are coming for you, coming for us. Are there terrible things afoot, bubbling under the surface? Is something coming for you and for us? Ask yourself how true that is of yourself and your own life. Have you addressed all that? Are you concerning yourself with the dust in your enemy's eyes instead of attending to the filth that obscures your own sight? Do we want accusation, suspicion, discord, derision, and hatred? Or the peace and prosperity and happiness that beckons to us at this moment like never before? Who's the enemy here? Is it the basket of deplorables? Is it the freaks and the queers? Is it the plumbers and carpenters and tradesmen and managers who work honestly and diligently during the day, and the soldiers who stalwartly defend the borders and protect us? Is it the artists and visionaries whose expressions of unbridled creativity entertain and rejuvenate us, and who continually offer to us an unending panoply of technological miracle? Is it the institutions that guide and protect us, that so many lived and died to erect and establish, which for all their faults have served us so well? Do we want revenge or justice? Do we want contempt or mercy? Do we want war or peace? And what are you aiming at in your heart of hearts?
Wow. I need to play this for that part. Oh my gracious, this brother he's people want both. They want war. Some people want war, some people want peace. Some people, oh man, some people want revenge. Just is what it is. There's a bunch of people who want revenge for something. Just spiteful beings, man.
Aiming at in your heart of hearts. I see even the best of men degenerating into the exchange of blows. I see even the best of men identifying the enemy in our neighbors and friends. I see even the best of men falling prey to cowardice and self-righteous anger. It needs to stop. I need to stop. You need to stop before it's too late. Who is the enemy here? The snake in your heart? The lies on your tongue? The arrogance of your intellect? The cowardice of our refusal to see?
Man, if y'all don't feel like self-reflection right now, then I don't know. I know I am. When he's asking these questions, the arrogance of your intellect, you know, I don't have a snake on my heart, I don't believe. But when he's asking these questions, man, I'm just looking at myself.
The snake in your heart? The lies on your tongue?
The lies on your tongue.
The arrogance of your intellect?
Arrogance of your intellect.
The cowardice of our refusal to see?
Refusal to see.
The enemy is that which divides to sow discord. The enemy is the pride and the fear that stops us from lending a hand across the divide. The enemy is the great and eternal adversary of mankind. And if we demonize our brothers, our comrades in arms, do we not precisely call that dread spirit forth? Have we not yet learned? Courage, trust, truth, love, even unto your enemy, which is yourself. God, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. May what is highest guide our vision. May what is highest open our ears. May what is highest guide our tongues. And may we pray, fearful of the hell we could so easily and carelessly create. Deliver us from evil. Shine a light into the corners of our dark hearts. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
I enjoyed that. Y'all let me know what y'all felt about this in the comments below. And if you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I am Van, and now we are all the LFR family. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video, hopefully inside the Patreon as well. You all have been amazing. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for clicking play. Love y'all.
Perpetrate, cause this 38 will be designated for all those that hate it like just man, I'm contemplating. Your moves you lose, now your heart you gave me. New moves, more dudes, now the top you made me. Same rules, new crews, now the